Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello. Thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike. It's March 9th, 2009. Okay, now I've been sitting here for, I don't know how many months now. 4 months, something like that. Basically telling people it's going to get bad. And the first videos I ever did, I used to do things like, I'd show them Zimbabwe notes and say, this is how bad it's going to get. But people were like, you're nuts, Mike. The U.S. economy is huge. Yeah. So is the debt load. But anyway, we won't talk about that. And it's only gotten worse, since October. Anyway. Now, so a lot of people said, okay, he's just nuts. Ignore him. And then it started appearing more and more in the news that this stuff was happening. And people were like, hey, hang on a second. He might actually have a point here. Article today from the Age, which is an Australian publication, it looks like. I'm not entirely sure where this came from, but anyway. Basically, the Age has done a really nice article, basically saying the World Bank says the collapse has arrived. What did I say? I said last week, actually 2 weeks ago. The collapse started last night. That's what I said. Well, the World Bank has come out and agreed with me, which is remarkable. The World Bank has broken a taboo, becoming the first official organization to predict the global economy will shrink during 2009. To collapse for the first time in more than 60 years. Now, their assessment has basically said, it's going to be down, depending on where you are in the world, it's going to be down, everywhere in the world, essentially. The new World Bank assessment, prepared for next week's meeting of finance ministers and treasurers from the world's 20 largest economies, was not specific about the extent of the collapse, other than to say that global economic activity would shrink for the first time since World War II, with growth at least 5 percentage points below potential. So they're not going to come out and actually say to you, okay, actually, world GDP is going to decline 5%. They're going to give you words like, it will growth at least 5% points below potential. Yeah. Anyway. Global industrial activity will be down 15% by the middle of the year, they're saying, with world trade on track to record its largest decline in 80 years. Of special significance to Australia, this is an Australian article. The bank said the sharpest falls in trade would occur in East Asia, including Japan and Korea, which between them buy a third of Australia's exports. So this is going to have a big impact on Australia. Anyway, I'll let you read the article. There's lots of good information in there, so if you've still got people around you that don't recognize the scale of this thing, it's going to be huge and it's going to hurt. Anyway, now, I have lots of subscribers, and some of my subscribers have been with me for a long time. And one of my first subscribers, one of the very first ones actually, was a chap who really likes trains. Over here in England, they can be called train spotters, and without the drug connotation, sorry. It's just basically, they like to keep track of trains and things like that. And that's cool. That's great. I love that. It's a hobby. It's something to do, and it gives you something to think about. Occasionally, I get emails sent to me as well. Now, last night, actually not occasionally, since I said send me some information, everybody did. Wow! Should have seen my email this morning. Full of stuff. Anyway, that's fine. One of the things that got sent to me was from the Association of American Railroads. And I thought, oh, this is going to be as boring as old shoes. However, I was wrong. The headline, Rail Freight Traffic Down in February. Okay, I thought this is interesting. Good. Basically, coming out and telling people U.S. rail carload traffic in February fell 14.5%. compared to February 2008. Okay. The quote, obviously it's still a very difficult economic environment out there for railroads and their customers. Yeah. Now, at the bottom of this article, and I've linked it over here, but you can just scroll down and click on it, there's a PDF that lists off by categories what the decline is like. Some of these numbers are scary. Now, some of them aren't so bad. There was a 3% decline in the 8 weeks leading up to February 28th, so the first 8 weeks of the year, essentially. There was a 3% decline in the amount of coal that was shipped around. Okay. So this is okay because you think about it, a lot of the electricity that's generated in the States is from coal-fired generators. So you wouldn't expect that to change very much. Okay? If you take that number out, how much was the overall decline? 25, 30%? I never bother adding all this up because it's a right pain pulling out of the PDF and typing it all in, so I didn't bother. But basically, the decline in shipping by rail in the first 8 weeks of the year within North America has declined something like 30 or 40%. Now, some of these numbers are huge. Now, grain is down 23%. Farm products, excluding grain, is down 42%. Metallic ores down 53%. This is, stuff that's actually used in manufacturing. Crushed stone, sand and gravel, yeah, it's not so bad, down 20%. Non-metallic minerals down 40%, roughly. But the big shock is, you also see things like lumber and wood products down 37%, forest products down 30%, etc. But you get down near the bottom. Metals and products down 50%. Motor vehicles and equipment down 56.9%. Waste and scrap materials down 32%. So the numbers are there. None of this stuff is being shipped anywhere. There's no demand for it. So there's no point shipping it out. Nobody's buying it. Now, how does this actually impact you and me? Well, things like wood and lumber means there's no homes being built. We got that one all right. Stone, clay, and glass products. Okay, this will be used in construction. That's down 13%. Chemicals down 17%. Pulp, paper, and allied products down 20%. So people aren't printing as much stuff. So it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. Now, a couple of other articles I've linked. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, actually. I'm debating it. Some of it is really good, and some of it is just not so good. Basically, Ontario, a province in Canada, passed a law, and it will make it effectively illegal on April 22nd, which is Earth Day, to purchase a lot of pesticides for domestic use. Now, some of these are good things to block. There's one thing here, the 2,4-D, which is an absolutely nasty thing, absolutely nasty pesticide, and if that gets into the system, it can cause some serious problems. The Ontario government's being sued by the manufacturer, Dow Chemicals, because, what do they say? The federal government says it's fine. Why does the provincial government say it's not fine? But anyway, there's all kinds of other things in there that are used for home gardening that are being blocked. One thing in particular, which is control for slugs. And they give you tips on how you can make, fix, so you don't need to use chemicals to kill the slugs and stuff. You can use things like copper barriers to prevent them from getting in and so forth, or limit their destructive capability. But if you've ever had a garden, you'll know that the easiest way of getting rid of slugs is little slug pellets. You have to make sure that no animals can get at it, because if a cat eats it, for instance, it will poison the cat and things like that. But if it's used responsibly and intelligently, it can be a very effective technique. Now, I'm not sure if it's good or bad. So I'd like to hear people's opinions on limiting the use of pesticides. Now, I don't know what else they're planning on there, and essentially it's because people have been over-fertilizing their lawns and things in Ontario. And the person that mentioned this to me, they live up north, shall we say. They live outside of a city. And you know what they call you, city folks, outside of the city? I nearly killed myself laughing. They call you citiots. So it's an idiot with a Z on the front. Those citiots? What are they doing? But anyway. So the big deal is about this the pest control metaldehyde, something like that. Which is a slug. Basically, it kills slugs quite effectively. It will actually kill pretty much anything if you ingest it. So it's a bad thing, obviously, but it can be very effective if used effectively. And I've included an article from the UK about this. Basically, there is no preventive law in the UK, but they're thinking about it because they're starting to find the chemical in water supplies. So they're thinking they might have to block it. And of course, small farmers and things like that, this can be a big problem. How do you keep control of slugs and snails and things? Particularly here in England, you wouldn't believe how many snails you get in the garden. Anyway, So that's pretty much it. Everyone have a good day. Have a good night. I've been so busy today. I'm really sorry about this, but I thought these were interesting articles to bring up. Okay. Peace, love, understanding. Think about things. And I'll speak to you again tomorrow.